Hi, I'm Omar here from Trinity Finance, and in this video I'd like to talk to you about obtaining a self-build mortgage and the process from start to finish with everything that you need to know. So if you're looking to build your dream home, whether that's building a property out of the ground or converting perhaps a commercial property into a residential property, then a self-build mortgage could be what you need. Self-build mortgages are a regulated product, so they do require you to be intending to live in the property. They're generally not to be used for development. If you are a developer looking to build a property to sell on for a profit or to rent out, then you'll be needing something called development finance. You can head over to that section of the website which covers development. So for those of you who are looking to build a property to live in, there are many advantages of using a self-build mortgage and actually using the self-build model to get yourself a property. First of all, there is a clear reduction in stamp duty costs when building a property yourself rather than buying one at a much higher market price. So that's an advantage. There's also the eco-friendly and the unique design that you can come up with a concept of a property and how you want it to be. So for example, second-hand Victorian properties have very small amount of insulation, if any insulation, in a cavity wall. And new builds, whether they are built of timber frame, SIP panels or some other form of construction, can be very heavily insulated and much closer to the eco standards that we're trying to achieve here in the UK. Many new builds have A or B rated EPC, and there is a big push for some developers and self-builders to achieve passive house standard, whereby there is zero carbon footprint when building your own self-build. So if that's something that you're looking to do, it's a clear advantage over having an old Victorian property with single glazed windows and no insulation that costs quite a lot of money in terms of your energy bills. So the process of getting yourself a self-build. Well, first of all, let's talk about planning permission. Now, assuming you found a piece of land, the first thing you need to do is establish, does this land have planning permission? If it doesn't have planning permission, then I'll tell you now, you're not eligible for a self-build mortgage. You need to get the land to have some planning permission first. Doesn't mean you can't buy land without planning permission, although that can be extremely risky. If you don't know what you're doing, I would recommend that you speak to a planning consultant who has knowledge of how to take land through the planning process. But assuming you want to buy something without planning, you're likely to need to purchase it with cash or the use of a bridging loan. If you're buying land with planning, then you are potentially, subject to criteria, affordability, income, the value of the property, you are potentially eligible for a self-build mortgage. And so you can have a consultation where we'll review everything for you and establish whether a self-build mortgage is suitable for you. Self-build mortgages are generally a lot cheaper than bridging, and so they are the preferred route for people that want to keep their costs down. So you found a piece of land, it's got planning permission, and you now want to buy and build your dream home. So you have a deposit, hopefully, and that will enable you to buy the land with the use of a self-build mortgage to get the difference between your deposit and the purchase price. And then you'll need money to be able to build the property, whether it's a single house or whether it's a conversion of a commercial property into a residential property. You will need money. Self-build providers will either release that money to you in arrears or potentially upfront. It will always be released to you in stages. And the process of building a property from start to finish typically starts with conditions that are put on your planning permission by the local authority, which you'll need to have discharged. Some of these conditions are pre-commencement, which means that you won't be able to start work until you've satisfied some of the conditions. They typically will be things like providing the local authority with samples of what bricks and tiles and materials that you're using to build the property, perhaps land contamination risk assessments to confirm whether the land is contaminated or not. But once you've got through all of the pre-commencement conditions and you're ready to put a spade in the ground, as they say, and dig your foundations, you will need some money to do that. And you do need to establish quite early on, are you going to be using a main contractor to build this property for you? So somebody who is a builder, who can manage all the trades and you hand this project over to them and they do the whole thing for you, a turnkey, start to finish self-build? Or is it something whereby you are going to manage the project and keep the costs down by bringing in different contractors and overseeing the project from start to finish? So that would, for example, be the use of a groundworks team to complete your foundations, and then to have your bricklayers or your timber frame erected to build your structure, and then the roof to go on, and then windows to go in. So it depends on whether you're going to do self-managed or you're going to use a main contractor. Self-build providers are typically happy with either of those routes, as long as you have a clear plan and you have some guidance. It does help if you have some experience and some knowledge, but it's not completely essential. You will need to have a good team of people around you, a planning consultant, perhaps an architect, a structural engineer, a good contractor who knows how to build properties if you've never built a property yourself out of the ground. So once you've got a good team and people around you, you'll be able to put yourself forward to arrange a self-build mortgage, and then go through that process of having the site or the land valued. When the self-build mortgage provider has the land valued, they are not just valuing the land as it is now with planning permission, but they're also valuing the gross domestic value, the GDV, and which also is known as the end value of the house once it's completed. So once you've had your valuation done, it will give you a value of what the land's worth now and what the house is worth, and you'll have to give them the cost that it's going to cost you to build. And essentially the lender will provide funding to purchase the land if you haven't purchased it already, and in stages funding to complete all of the process until it's fully signed off by building control, and you have your new build warranty provider issuing the final certificate for your new build warranty, whereby you will be able to come up with an exit strategy. Now, an exit strategy on a self-build, once it's all done and you've got this lovely home that's been built, potentially could be to stay with the same self-build mortgage provider, because some self-build mortgage providers also are very happy for you to stay and continue paying that mortgage with them. And other self-build providers are not as flexible, and their key really is for you to move on to a traditional residential mortgage of some sort, so you may need to remortgage the property once it's fully built. So foundations, your walls of some sort, whether that's standard masonry construction, brick cavity block work, for example, steel beams, timber frame, SIP panel. We've funded various types of self-build, from the standard house to a very unique passive house construction with walls which were almost 800 millimeters thick of insulation. And so if you have a unique inquiry of something that you'd like to build, get in touch with Trinity Finance. We're very established with how to arrange a self-build, and we will guide you from start to finish to make sure we do our very best to get you the funding to build your dream home. Hope that helps. Get in touch with us on the contact details on our website, and we'll see you soon. So the easiest way to get in contact with us here at Trinity Finance is to send us an email at info@trinityfinance.co.uk, or you can simply fill in the contact form here on the website, and we'll speak to you soon.